Hi, guys, and welcome to the Horror Room. So, last week we took a look at some sympathetic characters from horror movies, and I thought, you know what? Why not do the opposite? Why not this week take a look at some of my favorite villains? Now, I'm not talking about slashers or monsters or anything. We're sticking to humans only. So, these are characters that are just over the top in their evilness or their eccentric quirks and personalities, things that I really, really like about them. Now, again, there are tons of characters out there like that. There are some I didn't include that I want to give an honorable mention to, like the driller killer from Slumber Party Massacre Part 2 with his eccentric guitar and, rocking around, singing. It's ridiculous. You could even make a cry for the character of from Maniac, Frank. Yeah, Frank. He's got some quirks, but I still consider him mostly a slasher. Now, maybe in the future I'll do a top slashers, but that's going to be a big list. Like so, I don't think it's going to be a top five. But this one, I wanted to stick to five of the human characters, villains. Even if they're not the main focus of the movie, just characters in these movies that really stood out and grabbed me with how diabolical and fun they are. Now, some of these you're probably going to be like, "Oh yeah, definitely." There might be someone here that you're like, "Really?" But you got to remember it's my list, my personal taste, so it might not mesh with you. But if there's some characters that you think are super villainous and fun to watch with how evil they are, let me know down below. Try to stick with humans, but I guess if you want to comment your favorite like killer specifically, like I know someone out there is gonna say, uh, oh, what's his name from American Psycho, Patrick Bateman. Someone's always gonna say Patrick Bateman, but nah, he's fine, but he's not very funny. I mean, he has his little rant about oh, who the hell, Huey Lewis in the news. But yeah. So without further ado, let's talk about my top five favorite villains. First up, I've got to give it to the GOAT. Sorry, he's hands down, he's the best one on this list, so we're going to start with him. And that's Captain Rhodes from Day of the Dead. This guy, man, he put in a performance that I think is hard to top. Because right from the get go, you can tell as soon as this guy opens his mouth, you're going to fucking hate him. When they're all sitting around in the lunchroom talking about like what their plans are and stuff, and he's saying like, "You got my men out there running to get your supplies, and you ain't showing me shit." And the doctor, they call him Doctor Frankenstein, the one who's working with Bub. Uh, he's like, "Well, we can't have results without blah blah blah." And Captain Rhodes just gets mad, slams his fist down. He's like, "I'm running this monkey farm, Frankenstein," and it's so damn like it's so funny. And then like when the one lady is getting up, she's gonna leave. He's like, "Sit down," and he's like, "Sit down, or I'll have you shot." And his henchmen don't even take him seriously. He's like, "Bang, you're dead." And he's like, he pulls out the gun. And he's like, I'm super like serious, like." And then later on, you see him when he's showing the results with Bub, uh, and obviously they're keeping. He's keeping from him that they're using some of his old men to feed Bub. And of course, by the end, Bub gets his revenge on good old Captain Rhodes. But up until then, Captain Rhodes is like a looming threat. Anytime he's in the room, you're just like on edge, like, oh my god, what is this dude gonna say or do? And I think Captain Rhodes is one of the most infamous villains for a reason. I should have worn. I have a Day of the Dead shirt with him getting eaten, because of course he has his best one liner in the whole movie: "Choke on him." So yeah, Captain Rhodes, Day of the Dead. Next, uh, this is a fan favorite for a reason. I would say he's a little more likable in this one than the sequels, especially the final one. But that's only because he was sick. Rest in peace, Sid Haig. Yep, that's right. We're talking about Captain Spaulding from House of a Thousand Corpses. And it doesn't even require you to press play to like him. Because if you have the DVD, I'm not sure if they kept it intact on the Blu ray releases or anything else, but on this specific DVD, the Lionsgate release, as soon as you pop the movie in, there's a little button to click to ring the bell for a service, and Captain Spaulding comes in and he just starts bashing you and talking about random stuff and eating chicken. And I think it's like 15 minutes long, maybe like 12, but you just don't press play and just sit there and he will just crack you the hell up. Like, and then of course when you do press play, Captain Spaulding again, he's one of the first characters in the movie. He's got the cool little skeleton thing. And and like, he's not a big presence in this movie. He is in The Devil's Rejects, but I would say he's a little more toned down. He's a little more serious in that movie. But anytime Captain Spaulding is on screen in House of a Thousand Corpses, you're guaranteed at least one or two laughs. Like, I love when the kids come in and he's like interviewing him. He's like, "Well, how long you been running this place?" He says, "Well, how long's a piece of string?" Like, what the fuck? And of course, he takes him on the murder ride. Uh, and then, of course, later on, the cops show up because the kids are missing. And he's like, maybe them kids done and got them dumbass selves turned around and lost. Like, he's just fucking with the cops. And of course, at the end, you find out he's involved with the Firefly family. That's really hard to say sometimes. Um, and it doesn't really come as any surprise. But yeah, Captain Spaulding, one of Sid Haig's greatest performances. And it was very sad to see him in Three from Hell, the state he was in. But at least he got to be in that movie. I didn't like the send off. I feel like they should have done a third movie a lot sooner, but we weren't expecting a third movie because they're all gunned down at the end of Devil's Rejects. So thanks, I guess. But yeah, Captain Spaulding, pretty good. Next, we have. I should have looked her name up before this, but I'm just gonna call her the Troll Queen because I don't know what else. Or technically, she's the Goblin Queen because it's not Lort, it's Nilbog. We're talking about Troll 2. Yes, I don't have a standalone version. I had the dual one. But the crazy lady with her glasses and her scraggly black hair. You first see her in the infamous scene where the guy, they're eating her, then they're gonna eat me. Oh, like that one. But anytime the Troll Queen, like I said, I can't remember her name. She's got a different name. Anytime she's on screen, her eyes are like practically bulging out of her head. She's like, yes, and she's emoting, speaking through her teeth. She just eats the scenery every scene she's on, and it's fantastic. And I'm like, they really should have kept her more of a main antagonist in the sequel. Well, even though the original Troll barely has anything they don't have anything to do with each other aside from the name. But yeah, she's a very fun character. Anytime she's on screen, you're drawn to watching like what she's gonna do, what she's gonna say, because she's fantastic. And it just goes to show that not only a guy can steal a scene and make you say, "Oh my gosh, this is fucking bonkers." As far as being villainous, like, yeah, she's pretty villainous in a more cartoonish, mad scientist way. Another honorable mention I could say, if I can find it. I don't know. There it is. Just honorable mention, even though it's not really a horror movie, but like Dr. Gangrene from Return of the Killer Tomatoes by John Astin. or Professor Gangrene, right there. Fantastic evil villain, even though it's a pretty much a comedy. But yeah, so I just had to throw that out there. One of my favorites. Um, Next, we have Angela from Sleepaway Camp 2. Now, in the first movie, Angela was more shy, reserved, till the big reveal at the end that Angela was technically a boy all this time. Now, I don't know if they just did away with that in the sequels, but it wasn't really the focus. And they really made Angela into this bubbly camp counselor, really, really likable character. She's like wholesome and annoying, but like you just can't help but smile when she's like bouncing around the campground doing what she thinks is, right. There's a lot of winks and nods to other horror series, obviously from the cover art. I think she has a chainsaw or something at one point. But it is a goofy movie, as long as you don't take it seriously. Pamela, is that her name? Yeah, Pamela Springsteen. Yes, the daughter of Bruce Springsteen, starred in part 2 and 3. Now, sadly, I think she's kind of ashamed of doing these movies, but I think she has nothing to be ashamed of because she's the best part of these movies. And I'm going to make a hot take right now. Okay? Ready for it? Ready to hate me? I think I like Pamela Springsteen's portrayal of Angela better than Felissa Rose. Sorry. Sorry, but it's true. I liked her in 2, and I liked her in 3. I really like her in 2, though. You get that annoying song that they all sing. Just the cheerful way, instead of like getting like angry or crazy, she's still so happy even when she's killing, and it's it's ridiculous, but it's very funny. And you can't help but root for her, even though oh, she's a little crazy, but she's a fun type of crazy. And last but definitely not least, you could make an argument for pretty much every Trauma movie. There's always a good villain, especially in the Toxic Avenger movies. You have the Apocalypse Inc. chairman and his assistant. I can't remember her name, but she always has like the weird head dress and the glittery gown. All their henchmen, there's usually like a guy with a beard and a dress. There's usually some sort of dog man. There's Cigar Face. There's Big Mac, the sumo wrestler from part 2. Tons and tons of henchmen. But none of them top the original bad guy. Mayor Goody was technically the bad guy of the original film. But the first villain that we're introduced to, and that's Bozo in the Toxic Avenger. Bozo is... my God. Like, with a name like Bozo, you don't think he's very threatening, right? Especially he's got a friend named Slug. And, you see him talking to Melvin and, hey, mop boy. And Melvin's getting all distracted, puts his mop in the jacuzzi, and he's like, I'm gonna kill him! So this guy's neck veins are popping out, and like, he's stressing me, Jules. He is stressing me. His over-the-top line delivery gets me every damn time. Like, I can't help but laugh. Then you get the infamous head-crushing scene where they're all out in their car and they're talking horrible, like they're playing a hit-and-run game, and they're talking about running over minorities and children and dogs and bad shit. And so you see them playing this game, and he's like really into it, of course. But yeah, it's just hilarious. And then of course they come up with the scheme to trick Melvin. But then later on, Melvin becomes the Toxic Avenger and finds Bozo, and he's like forcing his foot down on top of him to get him to speed. And he's like, "Yeah, you like running over little kids?" He's like, What can I say? I'm a very stressed guy. Like, it's so fucking hilarious. And then, of course, Troma uses that infamous car flip from, I don't remember what film it's from. It's one of their earlier ones, but they use it in a lot. They've used it in Terror Firmer. They've used it in Poultrygeist. You know, that's their money shot. But Bozo is one of those villains that he's so over the top. He doesn't even need to stay in the movie very long, but I'm glad they did. That whole group is just, they're perfect. They're perfect for that movie. And it was hard to top that in the sequels going forward, but they had some memorable, moments. I love, honestly, the big fight at the blind daycare in the second movie, or nursing home. Sorry, not daycare. Near the beginning of the second film, ridiculous. But yeah, of course, I've got a soft spot for the original Toxic Avenger, and Bozo is one of the reasons why he's one of my favorite villains. Mwah. Um, oh, also, just a little side note: the villains at the Taco Shack or whatever later on. Love the guy with the red and the black, the suspenders, pretty cool. But I'm wearing my voice out, going, throwing these roses at Bozo and all these other guys. So let me know down in the comments who's your favorite villain and why. Doesn't have to be a human, but big points if you can give me a human. Mine were a little more goofy, eccentric, but if you want to be like, I like Hannibal Lecter, I'd be like, okay, I can see that. But I decided to go the little more eccentric, over the top, performative route. So yeah, let me know. Are there any in that list that you're like, I agree, this is like one of the best ones? Do you think Captain Rhodes is the best one? Because a lot of people do, and for good reason. He's very unlikable, but in a fun way. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next week.